Hello. Regarding the recent attempt to overthrow the Turkish government, some have asked if there might be anything in Bible prophecy that may shed some light on why the coup in Turkey failed at this particular point in history. We'll look at Bible prophecy concerning the region we now call Turkey and see what the Bible does have to say in just a moment. But first, let us look at what is happening in Turkey. Now, recently, we reported on the terrorist attack in Nice, France on Bastille Day, July 14th. Just 2 days later, on July 16th, the Los Angeles Times reported that secularists in the Turkish army suffered a failed coup in Turkey, which could now allow President Erdogan to tighten his grip even more on that troubled country. A little background on Turkey. For hundreds of years, Turkey was a caliphate, known as the Ottoman Empire, and most likely the stimulus for ISIS to try and reclaim Islam's former glory days in the region. The Ottomans conquered Asia Minor, or as it was known back then, Byzantium, but it did not conquer Constantinople until 1453, and that caused the once powerful Eastern Roman Empire established by Constantine the Great to fall. The Ottomans also expanded their rule throughout all of the Middle East and a large portion of the African continent. They held power all the way from 1301 AD until 1922, when the Ottomans made the fatal mistake of backing Germany in World War I and lost, something the Turks would repeat again in World War II. But I digress. After World War I, Ataturk took control of Turkey and secularized it in order to bring Turkey out of the 7th century Islamic Sharia control and into the 20th century. In fact, the Turkish constitution states that the military must reinforce secularism. Now, history has shown that this is exactly what the Turkish military has done on several occasions when its leaders tried to return Turkey to an Islamic state under Sharia law. Each time the military has been successful, each time that is up until now. Unbeknownst to the secularist, Turkey's current leader, President Erdogan, quietly began replacing secularists with Islamists, not only in the military high command, but he did this on the courts and in the local police departments as well. I must confess, while I hoped the coup would be pulled off, if for no other reason for Israel's sake, we really didn't expect the coup to succeed. In light of biblical prophecy, the Bible tells us that we may very well be in the last days or end of the age. When looking at all of the end-time prophecy, events seem to be rapidly unfolding right before our very eyes. In the Gospel of Luke, when Jesus was prophesying to his Jewish disciples about what was going to happen to the Jews, the destruction of the temple and the fall of Jerusalem in the future of 70 AD, he warned, quote, "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away into captivity into all the nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled." Luke 21:24. Well, on June 7th, 1967, near the last blood moon, the time of the Gentiles ended. In one day, Israel took back Jerusalem and the Temple Mount after almost 2,000 years of Gentile control. We are now about to begin the Feast of Trumpets, which is the beginning of the Hebrew New Year on Wednesday, September the 24th at sundown, which is also the appearance of a new moon. But this new year ushers in the year of the biblical Shemitah. Shemitah, which means the release or remission. This event occurs every 7 years, and if we look back through recent history, we have to go no further than September of 2001. Remember the date September 11th, or as it has now become known as 9/11? That ominous date when America was attacked by Muslim jihadists who took down the trade centers in New York City and crashed a plane into the Pentagon in our nation's capital. The Shemitah came again in 2008. What happened then? The world faced the most dangerous financial crisis since the Great Depression of the 1930s. And frankly, we're still suffering under it. We haven't gotten recovery yet. And guess what? This year the Shemitah returns again, possibly bringing with it another prophetic cycle, this time concerning the end times prophecy surrounding Togarmah, Magog, Meshach, Gomer, and Tubal. Ezekiel 38 and 39's oracle warns us of a battle called the Battle of Gog and Magog, which is a predecessor of the Battle of Armageddon. So what do these names have to do with the unfolding end times? The prophet Ezekiel tells us, quote, "The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Rosh, Meshach and Tubal. Prophesy against them and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, O Gog, prince of Rosh, Meshach and Tubal. I will turn you around and put hooks into your jaws and bring you out with your whole army, your horsemen fully armed, and a great horde with a large and small shields, all of them brandishing their swords. Persia, Cush, and Put will be with them, and with shields and helmets, also Gomer with all of its troops, and Beth Togarmah from the far north with its troops, the many nations with you." Ezekiel 38, 1 through 6. So what do all these names have to do with the hostile Islamic country just north of Israel? These places are all inside of Turkey. And when Turkey was a secular society, Israel had nothing to fear. But with an Islamic Turkey, Israel has a lot to be concerned about. Under Erdogan, I fear that Turkey will not revert again to being a secular society, but it will continue on the path towards its old Ottoman Empire caliphate and totalitarian Sharia-administered government, probably even faster in the aftermath of the recent failed coup. Now, in parting, we leave you with this. On January 1st, 2016, President Erdogan, who is moving Turkey towards an Islamic state with Sharia law, stated regarding his administration and what he wants to accomplish, quote, "There are already examples in the world. You can see it when you look at Hitler's Germany." Needless to say, this may be one of the driving forces behind this week's failed coup. Although the New York Times in their January 1st article stated, Mr. Erdogan did not elaborate, but his comparison to Hitler drew immediate criticism because of what many view as his increasing authoritarianism. His comment also raised the question of why would the leader of one of the world's most influential countries, an American ally and a member of NATO, would mention Hitler in the context of his own tenure? End quote. On Friday, the office of Turkey's president said Erdogan's Hitler's German metaphor has been distorted by media outlets and has been used in the opposite sense. End quote. Turkey is the home of Togarmah, Magog, Meshach, Gomer, and Tubal, the very places mentioned who, like Hitler, will come against the Jews. I'm Dr. J.P. Sloane. Until next time, thanks for watching.